Because now it looks like it looks to me it's gone beyond Nigeria. Because if you look at the statement from the State Department, it shows that well, look at one word there, foreign, and it means that these two groups have been termed foreign terrorist organizations. Because initially, the talk was that it was a domestic affair, and Nigeria was just sided with trying to deal with it all by itself. Now, with the groups being recognized as terrorist organizations, it looks that your work, which you published about 6 months ago, has some kind of meaning to all of this. Because if once we thought they were domestic terrorist groups, and now we're getting to hear that they have been recognized as foreign terrorist organizations, does that tell us that they've been able to meet successfully with other terrorist groups outside Nigeria?
It goes without saying. Because, like I told you, as at that time I was doing the research, they were still a kind of, their application was still pending. So pending the time they met certain criteria set by the Al-Qaeda organization, global Al-Qaeda at that time. Maybe they have met those conditions now, and they have been fully accepted. And the U.S. is privy to this. That's why they now tag them, you know, among the global terrorists. But you see, again, I don't know, things we would have done to stem this ugly tide before now. For instance, our porous borders. Our porous borders, for instance, what have we done about it? Because now if we are to even take census of who are legitimate Nigerians, we don't know how many we are. We don't know who is who in this country. So we don't know who is going and we don't know who is coming in. So how do we stem this tide when the borders are still porous? And when people at the border, some of them are not really nationalistic to the extent of collecting some money and allowing you know, people who are not Nigerian, those who are you know, whose presence are critical, you know, are very inimical to our existence. We allow them to enter. So how do we stem this tide?
You know, now that we have come up with the national dialogue that we are hoping to get, do you think that such can also help us? Because we haven't actually done well for ourselves with the growth of such groups, and now on a daily basis we get to hear some sects and some groups causing mayhem and violence, and the way and manner with which the government handles them leaves a lot to be desired. Because if we say, well, it all started in 2009, but they've been there before 2009, yes, and now it has snowballed into something of international dimension, how can we bring this into proper discourse so that we know that subsequently future groups like this won't jeopardize the good name of the nation in future?
First of all, it starts with what I always say on program, deterrence. In Nigeria, we don't have that deterrence mechanism. For instance, when you see people who have done something dastardly like this, for instance, show deterrence. Let people know that we don't condone this, and by actually committing them to the relevant aspect of our law. Look at what happened yesterday, the incident a few days ago, the incident that killed Professor Yayi. Okay, these are things that are avoidable, apart from the fact that the roads are bad. When you have you know, a government official who is far removed from his people and is blowing siren, intimidating his own people on the road, and all these things are happening. Another one happened again along Lagos Abeokuta road. People going towards Sango, these same government officials. So blowing siren, whoa, so people were scampering for safety and all that. A trailer or tipper now ran into some people. Some people died. Now I don't know. The news is very fresh now. The same government official. So how do we get to the end of all these things? It makes our country a kind of lawless society where anything goes, and those people just die for nothing now.
So you say, but again, I remember, sorry to cut you, because I remember then once it was the Department of State Security, they had issues then concerning the law. I know, even though I know you're not a lawyer, but they say sometimes when they bring these people before the law, looks like sometimes such cases are being jeopardized by the same members of the judiciary who would have actually taken this to the end.
You see, a case like Boko Haram or a case like wanton killing of innocent people like this, for instance, I am of the opinion that it should not take regular course of law. There should be a kind of, ad hoc arrangement to deal with them, because these are not ordinary.
But we have terrorist laws now.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that
in recognition of that fact.
Yeah, that will hasten the process of prosecution immediately. So not the normal course of law that would take years, like although many people would criticize America for this Guantanamo something also. So fast, dispensation of justice to make sure that these people are done away with from the society. That's one thing that can curb this. If you commit them to the regular, of course, lawyers will eat now. Lawyers, they feed on these things.
Yeah, but you also remember, as I've been ruminating over your accusation of, a lack of proactiveness on the part of the federal government, and you have clarified that you meant that they were not proactive enough in, holding the group or nipping the violent part of the group in the bud. Now, we also remember how there was would I say politics or some misunderstanding of why the group existed and whether or not it was the real Boko Haram that was going about carrying out violent activities. We also saw the responses, reactions in terms of how Boko Haram should be treated. There was that a lot of people, even expert security officials, gave the recommendation of carrot and stick. That on one hand we should dialogue with them, on the other hand we should also show that we have might, we have firepower might. Now, would you say that, and the federal government seemed to have taken all of this into consideration, would we now turn around and blame them because it's taken this long because we also remember the federal government as well has also prescribed Boko Haram. Will we now blame them for taking as long as they have, when some other people would just say they were simply showing patience with the group?
Showing patience with the group, that the group has been in existence for many, many years now. It was when they actually started the large-scale killing that Nigerian attention was drawn to it. That was 2009 and thereabout. Now, when this thing was burgeoning, remember there was this debate as to whether this Boko Haram, what do they want? This is not the real Boko Haram, this is the real Boko Haram. What had been done at that initial stage matters a lot. Remember, many names were mentioned and all that. So my concern is still what has been done to those who have been penciled, those people who are known to be sympathizers with Boko Haram. What has been done with them? Are they still in the system? Are they still sympathizing? Are they still, one way or the other, encouraging, giving moral support to Boko Haram? If such people are still within the system, unfished out, and these people know that they have sympathy with some people who can press the button and yet they are off the hook and all these things, we cannot get to the end of it until we remove politics, remove ethnicity, and go for whoever is connected at all and deal with them. Until then, we cannot move forward, because what we are talking about here is something that is capable of destabilizing the country.
But Dr. Tegude, one or two of them have been sentenced to jail, and you do know that even some senators are still facing the law about this matter. And you know the way it goes. You can't just pick up anybody on basis of allegation without having your, as they say, watertight proof that this chap is actually involved. And even if you have that, if you get to the courts, until the courts decide, that's where the matter has to end.
That is the same problem I'm talking about, our legal system. Our legal system is such that does not dispense justice fast for people to learn from what has happened from the wrongdoers of yesterday. We have cases, and we all know, probes upon probes, nothing come out of this probe. As a result of this, people who have the mind of committing criminality, they see that the one of yesterday have not been dealt with. So what's stopping us also from doing it? After our own case can also prolong. In the process of prolonging it, we'll be pressing button here and there. In the next 1 or 2, 3 years, we forget about them. And that is the Nigerian system. But
from the look of things, the statement released by State Department also did say that, in the White House statement, that this action is meant to enhance further cooperation between Nigeria and the U.S. And we also understand that Nigeria's ambassador did say that it was disclosed to him that This is meant to speed up the process of ending Boko Haram, and this will not cost Nigeria any unnecessary harassment, those who are traveling.
Chamberlain, I will only hope so. Because from history and from what I know from experience all over the world today, once you are tagged or declare a terrorist group, that country does not really go free.
You don't think that the federal government knows something that we don't, because they are even urging other governments of other countries to follow suit in the footsteps of the United States government?
Well, that's just neither here nor there, but another grave implication that I see, if we have allowed America a kind of unfettered access to fish out Boko Haram and all this, we also experience a drone syndrome, you know, because drones will soon come. Because American taxpayers are not really keen on spending, you know, or spending the lives of their own people to go and, you know, fish out Boko Haram. Even like what they are doing in Afghanistan, Pakistan right now, sending drones and all that. It's just because they don't want their people to die anymore for any senseless war. So they send drones. And when they send drones, of course, the collateral damage, you cannot quantify it. We may begin to experience that from America. Because drones, if they send the reconnaissance drone, that is the one that will survey the area, they know where those guys are, they now send the one that is laden with bombs. And so this is the way they do it. And this thing will record a lot of collateral damage. I hope we will not begin to cry again when that one comes. Because if we allow America, okay, come America, we partner with you to come and fish out these people, they will do all they have in their might to remove Boko Haram, and that will also cause collateral damage.
All right, thank you for coming on. Dr. Femi Adegbulu is a certified protection professional. We'll return.